Constructing a circle in demonolatry is actually quite simple, really. But if you are more familiar with the grimoires, especially the Goetia, you'll probably have come across the four kings, which represent the four elements, Orion's, Paimon, etc. But with traditional demonolatry, or I suppose we could in some ways call it Ducant style, there are actually five elemental kings, and they're different to what we find in Goetia and the grimoires. So these five elemental kings are Lucifer, Phlerius, Leviathan, Belial, and Satan. Now, you can change the demons that you work with in regards to the actual elements, as long as the demons, or you can even use gods and goddesses from other pantheons or spirits that you actually prefer to work with, but as long as they represent the elements, the occult elements themselves. And I prefer to work with these specific demons or deities within the construct of a circle in regards to demonolatry. But for instance, I mean, Satan represents the all ether spirit, and if you have a different spirit, demon, deity that you recognize as being spirit, the all, something like that, then you can obviously use that. For instance, you might use Atem or Nama instead of Satan, for instance. Now, when it comes to the actual placement of the elements, this can also differ. Now, when you're first starting out in a practice, we're speaking about demonolatry, so if you're just starting out in the practice of demonolatry, then it's always best to stick to the original construct, that which has been used, that which has been tested. And later on, as you become used to how the energies flow and how it feels in that space, then you can start personalizing it, you can start adapting it to your own requirements and your own needs. But as I say, when you start out, just stick to the original. And even though I may have adapted the circle construct to my own personality, there comes a time when I start learning a new practice, a new construct within demonolatry still, but I will then take the original and I'll work with the original until I actually get to know it, get used to it, and understand it better. Then I'll start adapting again. But when you're just starting out with a new practice, with a new construct, with a new format, just stick to the original until you know it inside out. But what I do want to talk about is how things can be adapted. So, for instance, in demonolatry, the placement of the elements is very much based on ceremonial magics. So we have air in the east, we have fire in the northern hemisphere it would be in the south, in southern hemisphere it would be in the north. It's the apex of the sun, it's following the path of the sun. In the west would be water, and then opposite to fire would be earth. So this is very much a ceremonial magic construct, and obviously in the center is spirit, all. Now, you can adapt this to another system, you can adapt it to more of a physical environment. So I'm also a traditional witch, and with the compass round, I actually like working with the landscape of the compass round. Now, the compass round doesn't work specifically with the elements, it's more of a kind of a map, it's a compass. And this compass gives you the lay of the mystical lands. But within that, we do find mention of the elements. So, for instance, in the east is the land of the rising sun. It's the beginning of the day. It's the beginning of life. It's the morning star coming in, and this would be Lucifer. But quite often I will place Flerius in this position because this is the place of fire. When you move round to the hottest part of the day, noontime, summer, when you're following the path of the sun, and this becomes the apex of the sun itself during midday, then this is the hottest part. It's when, as I say, it's summer. It's when the fields and the flowers are blooming and everything's come to life. So this becomes Earth. It's representative of Earth. So Belial would be there. And then we move round to the west, where we find water. This is the River Styx. It's the watery divide between this world and the land of the dead. It's autumn. It's the end of life. It's old age. So this is where, when you die, you move through the watery divide into the west, and then we come round to the position of air, which is the coldest part. And this is where we find the ancestors, the Silver Tower. It's the cold area. It's after you've died, you then become the ancestor, and then the cycle continues. But it's this landscape that happens. So instead of having air in the east, we have fire in the east. And as I say, there can be some overlaps and some difficulties here. So sometimes what I'll do is I won't place Flerius or Lucifer in the east. I might place Azazel, for instance. Azazel also has a fiery aspect and a bringer of knowledge aspect. And then I might place Lucifer in the air position, because Lucifer is very much the fire-air combination, so that comes back round to continue the cycle. But obviously, again, this becomes personal. It becomes personalized to you. You probably might, in this sort of construct, you might want to actually place Lucifer in the fire position, even though in many regards, in many constructs, in many traditions, Lucifer represents the element of air, because air is knowledge and everything else. However, being in this position where we have the representation of the morning star, which then goes over to the west and becomes the evening star, we have a Lucifer and Noctifer relationship here. So I think you can see what I'm trying to say. It becomes very personal to you. It becomes very personal, personalized as to how you actually see the elements, how you see the various spirits related to the elements. But the main point is, in a demonolatry circle, you are trying to balance the elements within your sacred space. So I think that's probably the main thing to actually bear in mind, is that balance of the elements. So it doesn't matter where you place the elements, as long as they are becoming balanced in the space itself. If you find that you're placing the elements in a certain position which do not create that balance, then move them around, play with it, experiment. Experimentation is a very, very important part. But again, you might want to actually place the elements in relation to your actual environment, for instance. So let's say you are in the southern hemisphere on the east coast. So I'm going to pick Durban in South Africa. That's in the southern hemisphere and it's on the east coast. So to your east, you have a large body of water. To your west, you have a large body of land. To your north, you've got the equator, and to the south, you've got the South Pole. So what you might want to do here is place water in the east, fire in the north, earth in the west, and air in the south. So I think you can sort of see where this is going. And if you are working with the physical environment, rather, just take into consideration the fifth element of Satan. Now, the fifth element is that which is spirit. It's all, it's ether. It's basically everything combined. So all of the elements, you combine them all and you form spirit. So we can actually take water and fire. We bridge those with air, because if you bring water and fire together, they basically explode. You know, fire will boil and evaporate water, water will put out fire, but if you bridge it with air, then you create a sort of a bit of a separation, I suppose, but they can then coexist. You bring those three elements together, you put them together, and you get earth. Once you've got all four elements, you then get spirit. So, you know, this is evolution, evolving, or just to the elements themselves actually evolving into something. So take into consideration spirit. If you're working with a physical environment, you might have a bit of a personal block to that. You know, a personal bias maybe that doesn't quite allow you to fix this or fit this element of spirit and ether into the physical environment itself. Then you might want to go for the more mystical aspects. So it could be the mystical land of the compass round of the traditional witch, or just stick with the ceremonial magic. The ceremonial magic format is used in many, many different traditions. So it's probably one of the easiest to work with. You might find it fits better with your own personality, until you maybe find that, you know, the elements fit in a different way for you. But that's fine. That happens with work. But as I said, to begin with, just stick to the original formats and get to know them. Now, when you do a circle casting in demonolatry, as I said, it's actually very simple. So the method you can use is to first go to the east. So if you're going to stick with the ceremonial magic format, east is air, so you're going to be calling Lucifer. And all you'll be doing is vibrating the N of Lucifer. Renek tasa ubraka biasa ika Lucifer. Okay, so all you do is vibrate the N in the direction of the east. And while you're doing that, you can use the ZD symbol. This is Ducant style stuff. You can use the ZD symbol, and you can also, you can use both symbols, or you can just use one. So either the ZD symbol or the as above, so below symbol. Now the ZD symbol, I'll put it up here somewhere. The ZD symbol is this is probably going to be reversed. And you would obviously do this bigger. I'm doing this small because I can fit it on the camera. So as I say, it's probably going to be reversed. So what you want to do is start in the top left, go across to the top right, diagonally down to the bottom left, across to the bottom right. And then all you do is you continue, let me just do this small, so you go there, and then you continue into the D, above the Z, and then you just bring it straight down. Okay? You can use anathema, or you can use your hands, your fingers. I prefer to use my fingers, especially when I do the as above, so below. It's a bit, I think maybe it's my Qigong practice that just makes that better for me. So that's the ZD symbol. Now, when you're working with the ZD symbol, you're actually working with all of the 9 divine demons, or demonic divinities. So you're not just working with the 5 elementals, you're working with the 9 divinities also. So you'll see in the image, somewhere left or right, the positions, or the points on the ZD of these 9 divinities. Then so as above, so below symbol. I like this, so I'll do it small again. So you go up, start from your left side, you go up, then you come down, you loop, and go down to the ground. So it's as above, so below. And what's really nice about this as above, so below symbol is that you can use your whole body. So what you do is you start at the left, sort of your left arm, and you sweep up and you stretch your body as far up as you can, and then you come down and you sweep down, and you actually go down onto one knee and just bow your head down as well. And I like this. I just like the movement myself. It makes me feel like I'm doing something. And as you're doing that, you can actually just vibrate the end. Now, when I'm doing the as above, so below, it's quite a. I use my whole body, so it's quite a movement. So to do that and vibrate at the same time gets a bit tricky. So what I tend to do is I do the as above, so below. I go down onto one knee and bow. And then what I do, I come up and I bring my hands to my sides and I push them out. And as I'm doing that, then I vibrate the N. But this is all things that become personalized. It's things that work for me. It's things that make it all feel like it's working for me. So as I said, use the original format first, and then start personalizing, and you'll find something that works for you. But those are the basics. So you go to the east, you vibrate the N of Lucifer while you are doing the ZD symbol, or you are doing the as above, so below, or you are doing both. Experiment with all of these different formats. So you do that, then you move into the position of fire. Whether that's to the left or to the right for you, you're going to follow the path of the sun. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're going to move to the south because that's the path of the sun. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to move to the north. And then you would do vibrate the N of Flerius when you're doing the ZD symbol. Then you move around to the west and you vibrate the N of Leviathan while you're doing the ZD symbol. And then to the position of Belial, earth. And again, N of Belial, ZD symbol. Then you come back to the center facing east, and you would do the same for Satan. So you would vibrate the N of Satan and do the ZD. Now, when it comes to the center, because I like using the above, as above, so below symbol, I tend to sweep up, vibrate the N of Satan, come down onto one knee, and then say Ave Satanas. So I'll sweep up, and it'll be Tassa Reme Laris Satan, and then I'll sweep down with the loop, and then onto one knee, bow my head, and vibrate Ave Satanas. So again, personalized to how I like to do it. So I think you got enough information about this. This is the five elemental kings, using the five elemental kings and the 5 elements to actually construct a balanced circle, a balanced sacred space. Once you've got that down, then you can start working with the 9 divinities and using the 9 divinities in the circle. So with that, I'll probably get into that a bit later. But basically, there's 2 divinities at each quadrant, and then Satan in the middle. But then you can get into triangular constructions. So there's a lot of different things you can do with these 9 divinities. But this is the basic 5 elemental balancing circle, sacred space. And hope that helped. Give me a shout in the comments if you've got any questions, and if you can like, share and subscribe, that would be great. It helps the algorithm, more people can find me. And that's it for this week. I'll see you on Friday, I hope. We're talking about fate and free will during the Black Hat chat on Friday, which should be quite interesting because it's a very confusing topic. And otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good one. Cheers.